chaps, welcome to John Robson Guitar Tuition. As always, I do hope you're well. Today we're looking at arpeggios in a lead guitar context, and I guess we'd better start off with a definition because it does sometimes get asked, what is an arpeggio? Well, put simply, it's a chord. Take for instance a G major chord. Like that. If I take all of the notes in that chord and play them individually one at a time like this, I've now played a G major arpeggio as opposed to playing all the notes together and playing it as a chord. And because you are playing each note individually and you're not trying to play a bunch of notes all at the same time, what that means is you can play multiple notes on the same string and create runs that you can use in lead guitar. Maybe something like that on a G major chord, or spell out any chord you want in a similar fashion. What we're going to be dealing with today is how I tend to use and think about arpeggios. In the 80s it became sort of de rigueur really for a lot of hair metal shred type guitar players to basically play the chord sequence but as arpeggios. A good example of this would be the solo from the Final Countdown by Europe, where B minor chord in the backing, the guitarist, I think it was a guy called John Norum, then plays a B minor arpeggio over the top of that B minor chord. Then the chord changes to a C sharp diminished, so he plays a C sharp diminished arpeggio. Then the chord changes to a D major chord, so he plays a D major arpeggio, and so on and so on. And to my mind, coming from my background as a blues and then kind of from a jazz perspective, you're not really adding anything that isn't already there when there's so much more that you can do, and hopefully that's what we're going to investigate here. First of all, though, we need, as always when we're talking about lead guitar parts, to take a look at what's going to be going on in the jam track, because the jam track is, or the backing instrument is always going to dictate what you do with your lead guitar parts. So let's take a look at some chords in the key of, well, G major. Okay then, the three main major chords in the key of G major are G, C and D. I'm sure you recognise that little 3-chord trick pattern there. Wild Thing, Summertime Blues, all that sort of stuff. Each one of those three major chords has a relative minor, and we find that by going down 3 frets. So E minor is the relative minor of G, there's your G. E minor, C major goes down 3 frets to its relative minor of A minor, and D major goes down 3 frets to its relative minor of B minor, and those are your major and minor chords in the key of G major. Okay, let's take some of those chords from the key of G major and concoct some form of jam track out of them. Here's some info. And this is what I came up with. You can see I've taken the A minor, G major, D major and E minor chords from the key of G major and strung them together in this order. And I decided to keep everything very much centred around, let's face it, every guitar player's favourite tonality of A minor by underpinning all of those chords with an A bass note. So you've got an A minor chord, obviously with an A bass note, then a G major chord with an A bass note, a D major chord with an A bass note, and so on and so on. The theory geeks out there will no doubt recognise that this puts us into the mode of A Dorian, and the backing track itself sounds like this. and you can download an extended version of that backing track from the description box below this video. Now, let's have a look at what arpeggios are going to work over the top of that. Well, essentially, it's those chords that we looked at earlier, the chords in the key of G major, which is our parent key here, and those are A minor, B minor, C major, D major, E minor, and F sharp diminished, which we haven't really looked at yet, but that's nothing scary. It's just the chord that you get generated from the F sharp note in the G major scale. And those are the arpeggios you can use over this jam track, and here's how to play them. Now, as well as those arpeggio shapes, what I often like to do is to take a fragment of them, say maybe 2 strings worth of it, and then go from arpeggio to arpeggio, say from a G major to an A minor to a B minor, or whatever the arpeggios are in the key that I'm in, and create an ascending run that takes me up the neck. A little bit like this. Or perhaps this. And don't forget, all of those arpeggio shapes that you've seen me demonstrating there are available to download as a PDF from below this video, so you don't have to keep hitting the rewind button and the pause button to see what I'm doing. Right, so we've got a jam track. We've got some arpeggio shapes that we can play over the top of it. It's about time we put it all to good use, I think. Here's a solo that I did using some of these ideas. And you'll also notice that at a couple of points in that solo, I played a few, I think, rather cool sounding fusiony outside licks. As the name implies, I was using a technique called outside playing. And, well, here's some information on how to get your head around that. Okay then, so what we're going to do here is add in a little bit of jazzy exoticness through some outside ideas. Basically adding in wrong notes which sound good if done in a organised fashion. And what we're going to base this on is a little A minor arpeggio chord shaped thing like this up at the 5th fret. So let's take each one of those chord notes, and first thing I'm going to do is approach each one from a semitone below. Like that. And already that's starting to have a nice kind of exotic, jazzy, Django Reinhardt-ish kind of vibe to it. Next thing I'm going to do is add the next scale tone above each chord note. So we're in A Dorian here. The next scale tone above the A note is the B. There's the C note. The next scale tone above that is the D. The E note there in A Dorian, the next scale tone above it is the F sharp here. And then there's the A again with the B as the next scale tone above it. And if I combine that with the semitone below approach, we can get that kind of thing, which just adds a little bit of jazzy colour to it. And the final thing that I'm going to do here is take each note in the chord and let's extend it a little bit and make it into an A minor 7th chord, like that. Okay, so I'm adding the G note here. I'm going to take each one of those notes in that chord, so the G, the A, which is there in that fingering, but there's an A note there we can use, the G note, the A note, the C note, the E note, and the G note, and possibly the A note again up here. Any of those chord notes basically, A, C, E and G, and I'm going to build a major triad on them. Okay, so I'm going to take the G note here and I'm going to play it with this finger and go. Then I'm going to go to the A note here and build an A major triad, which we're going to play over an A minor 7 chord. Sounds mad, but it works. Then C major triad based on this note here, E major triad, G major, and then resolve back to the A again there, so you get things maybe like this. Very exotic sounding little run, which the wrong notes in that sound wrong for a fraction of a second, and then you're back onto a right note again. So it's that old tension and release kind of trick that we're employing here. Anyway, here's all of those techniques at work over an A minor 7 vamp. And there you have it. I should have mentioned earlier, by the way, that big solo that you heard me play earlier in the video, there is a full tab in PDF and Guitar Pro format available for download from the description box below. Where else, in fact. And that pretty much sums up my whole approach to using arpeggios in a lead guitar context. I do hope you found this useful and informative and maybe even a little bit inspiring. If you have, if that's you, then please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and why not give the video a like while you're at it. And if you would like some tailored one-to-one guitar tuition, then get in touch with me via the details at the end of this video. You can have a face-to-face lesson in this very room if you live on Teesside in the northeast of England, or wherever you are in the world you can have a lesson via Skype, and whichever way you do it, your first lesson is free, so you got nothing to lose. Oh yes, and a quick update before I go on this pedal here. Did I mention this in the last video? I can't remember. Yes, I did. Yeah, the guy who won this has asked for it to be donated back to the charity Guitars for Good Causes. So this will be going up on eBay soon. I'll keep you posted. Sorry, I've forgotten I'd mentioned that. Right, that's it for today, folks. I hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you for watching. Thank you so much for your time. And I look forward to seeing you all again next time round, where we're looking at a new guitar that I've just trekked myself to. Stay tuned for more details on that. And until then, take care and bye for now, folks.